Hello and welcome to You Talking to Me, where today we are going to talk about European solidarity when it comes to migration policy. Is it still realistic to count on such a solidarity? We will discuss this with journalists of Euranet Plus Network. I'm very happy to welcome in our studio Claudia Knoppke from Hello. German member AMS. Hello.
Hi.
Stavros Samouilides from Greek Skai Radio.
Hello.
And Florin Orban from Radio Romania.
Hello.
Hello to all of you. A bit more than a year ago, the European member states agreed on a scheme to redistribute migrants within the European Union. This so-called relocation scheme has not been a success story. So far, from the 160,000 migrants to be relocated, only roughly 6,000 have left Greece and Italy to join another EU country. This is a fact, and it had to be recognized by the President of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, who somehow gave a new definition of European solidarity in a speech he gave recently. Here's what he said.
I'm convinced much more solidarity is needed, but I also know that solidarity must be voluntary. It must come from the heart. It cannot be forced. It cannot be imposed.
Solidarity cannot be imposed. That's what the countries from Visegrad wanted to hear. They proposed their solution to the migration crisis, which is called the flexible solidarity. And we are in line with Joachim Ciecierski from Polskie Radio. Hi, Joachim.
Hello, hi.
Joachim, Poland is one of the countries proposing the mechanism of flexible solidarity, which means that every EU member state could choose how many migrants it wants to take in. Does that mean that Poland will not take any more migrants?
Yes, this is true. Poland will not take any migrants in. This is a decision made by the ruling party Law and Justice that is in power for nearly 1 year. The last Polish government, that was more liberal, had plans to take in 9,000 migrants, but one of the campaign promises made by the conservative government that won the elections end of 2015 was to stop the flow of migrants to Poland. And the latest opinion poll made by the Center for Public Opinion Research say that more than 65% of the Poles doesn't want any migrants from North Africa. So the government fulfills the promises they made. And of course, some people say that the Polish nation is xenophobic and racist, but okay. That's everyone's opinion, but no, not everyone knows that since the 70s, Poland has one of the biggest Vietnamese communities in Europe, and since 2014, since 2 years, more than 1 million Ukrainian people entered Poland due to the military conflict with Russia. But on the other hand, we have, of course, migrants from Syria, but very, very few. The reason is simple. None of them wants to stay in Poland. So from the transit zones that are located at Hungary's borders, only 25 migrant families wanted to be relocated to Poland. So of course the question is, should we force them to live in a country that they don't want to live in? And we had many examples of Syrian families, refugees this year that were warmly welcomed in Poland. And I know that apartments were given for them. We give also social benefits. Of course, it's not so big like in Germany. And
Joachim, the quota, European solidarity, which means quota for migrations, nobody talks about it in Poland.
No, nobody. This topic isn't present anymore. But I think this relates to whole Europe. No one speaks now about relocation. As you said in the beginning, Danièle, that from this 160,000 refugees, only 6,000 had been relocated. It's not much, so we can see that this method doesn't work. And I don't know if you can blame Poland for this. Most of the European countries doesn't want that. Otherwise, we would have a much higher number of relocated migrants. So now
Claudia, Germany is a country where many migrants want to go. Right now, the Commission seems to be the only one to really believe in this relocation scheme. The German Chancellor or Germany, the German government, seems to have accepted the failure of the system.
Well, I wouldn't say really accepted the failure. It's still kind of nice to have, like a roadster is a kind of nice to have, but you can't have everything. I guess it's more a matter of they accepted the fact you can't do it without goodies or good words or pressure, so you have to accept it somehow. And the pressure in Germany on Germany is getting less and less. So for last year, the estimated number of arriving migrants was about 1.1 million. In fact, there were only about 800,000. And the monthly asylum seekers are less than expected too. So the pressure is lowering a little bit, and that's why they somehow try to accept it, I would say.
Mm-hmm. German Chancellor Angela Merkel somehow accepted also this proposal on a flexible solidarity, since she said that it is an interesting idea, a good step for a constructive discussion. That seems to be a change of mind.
I wouldn't say so. No, I wouldn't say so. For her, it's more about what else can I do? So at least it's something. I mean, I can run around, travel around and ask the people, please, please, please help me, let me in. And obviously a lot of people say, no, go home. So now they offer her, maybe we can think, we can talk about it. So she has to say it's a nice idea, and she is under pressure in Germany too, as you might know. A lot of elections showed her already, stop. This is not what we would like to have anymore. In 1 year, it's again for the Bundestag elections, and a lot of pressure is on her. So she has to react in a kind of, it's take a little, give a little thing.
Mm-hmm. Let's turn to Italy with Gigi Donelli from Radio 24 in Milano. Ciao, Gigi.
Ciao, Danièle. Bonjour.
Gigi, there are still migrants arriving, obviously in Greece, but also in Italy. There are more and more since the EU-Turkey agreement. What is the reaction in Italy on the fact that the relocation scheme is not working, on the fact that this country is once more left alone with the migrants who arrive in Italy?
Well, I would say that for the first time since the last 20 months, there is a clear change of attitudes by the Italian government, of course, represented by the Prime Minister Matteo Renzi. The change is this. There is a strong disappointment for what Europe or European countries are not doing on this issue. So Matteo Renzi just very recently affirmed that it's clear that there is not the capacity to fulfill the scheme, the project we together as European built up. And so now I would say is insisting very much on the bill side of the problem. So he's saying for the first time quite clearly, if you are not able as a European Union to respect what you plan to do with your relocation, well, we have to consider it on the bill side. As you probably know, on December the 4th, Italy will face a very important referendum. Matteo Renzi is very much under pressure for the result of this, and it's not the moment he will allow himself to be very weakened on the European side. So there is a strong disappointment. For the first time, we heard him speaking clearly on the fact that Europe is not able to fulfill the project of relocation.
And what does that mean in concrete? Face it on the bill side. What does he mean by that?
That means that if you're not able to keep your part of migrants, then you cannot pretend that we respect the so-called northern country approach to the budget. We have to spend much more than it was supposed, and so we have to count this as soon as we discuss the budget of the European Union on one side, but also the internal budget. To be clear, if, as he said yesterday, if many European countries are getting a lot of European funds, but they're not respecting their need or what we agreed on the relocation side, it's time that Brussels takes some strong decision on it.
Okay, thank you, Gigi. Another country that's obviously very touched by this migration crisis is Greece. More than 50,000 migrants are stuck in Greece right now. Since the EU-Turkey agreement, there seems to be more hope in this agreement than in the relocation scheme. But the agreement with Turkey is not really working as well, Stavros.
Yeah, well, I would say there's no hope in many different levels. First of all, if you look at internal politics in Greece, there are many things happening recently. The General Secretary responsible for migration has resigned recently, saying that there is an incapacity of Greek authorities to absorb the EU funds needed in order to face all this flow of migrants on the Greek islands. So this is one crisis that's internal. And of course, as you said, the deal with Turkey, where there was a lot of hope in the beginning, if you look at the numbers, and they were released very recently, the new numbers by the European Commission, you see that it doesn't work. From March, when the deal was agreed between Turkey and the EU, there's been almost 600 pushbacks, whereas we have more than 8,000, and those are the official numbers of migrants and refugees that entered through Greece.
Although the agreement was in force.
Yeah, of course. And if you see, which is even worse, since the last three months where the new report is examining, so June, July, of course, where there was a coup in Turkey, and August, there's only been 116 pushbacks, which is nothing. At the same time, more than 30,000 people are believed to be stuck in Greece. These are the official numbers. We talk about more than 50,000 right now. And we see that the situation is not working. With Turkey, there are no any more representatives on the islands. The very first islands that are touched, Mytilene, Lesbos, which is Lesbos, or Chios, there are no more representatives by the Turkish authorities. They've been all retrieved back to Turkey because after the coup. So there's been an examination there, and even the UNHCR is asking for a representation by Turkey. And if you look at the relocation scheme, it's honestly not working either.
Does anybody believe in Greece in this relocation scheme anymore?
In Greece, I don't think they believe in this scheme. In Brussels, though, they do believe in this scheme, because they even said in this last report that the numbers of September are the best numbers they've ever made.
They are, yeah.
But they're still so
far. They were more
far.
than 1,000 in September, which is compared to the rest of the year, of course.
But it's been like a year and a half ago when we agreed for 160,000 people to be relocated inside the European Union, and we talk of something more than 5,000 for the moment. So we are very much not in the target that we were supposed to get. So we'll see how it goes.
Solidarity is not the lack of solidarity is not the only difficulty when it comes to this relocation scheme. There are countries such as Romania who are willing to take in migrants. I have the figures here. Florin, Romania pledged to take in 1,500 migrants, and so far only 250 came. What's the problem? Bureaucratic hurdles, or does nobody want to go to Romania?
I guess pure and simply it's the way the system of relocation works. Because apparently for now the migrants, they have possibility to choose between the countries to be relocated to. And when it's about this choice, Romania doesn't get on the first place because, first of all, like you said, Romania, it's a poor country and doesn't offer so many opportunities to work or to continue the education of the children. On the other side, Romania is not in the Schengen area, so once being in Romania, and if the migrant with his family wants to go, let's say, in the northern country, it will have problems to leave the place. But in the end, I would say the option is the one who who decides if they will come or not, their option, I mean, because the Romanian government is committed to respect his promises and all those the quota which was given to them.
What about the Romanian people? Since it is one of the poorest countries in the EU, how is the acceptance within the population towards this commitment?
Let's say Romanians were always, and mostly recently, there were more migrant people willing to migrate than to receive. Not willing. I mean, we were a migration country, not an immigration country. So we understand. We understand people wanting to go and to fly from the war and from the poverty, and having every year thousands or maybe tens of thousands of Romanians still going to the West. We, as Romanians, we understand that wish to seek happiness where that it is.
So there's no hostile perception
of course,
of
there
this.
are groups or individual opinions against, but mostly the political forces are willing to receive and to show solidarity the way that we built, that Europe was built for.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, this European solidarity has to be redefined. The countries are talking about a new proposal. Once it's tabled, we will talk about it. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you, Claudia, Stavros, Florin. Thank you all, and see you soon on You Talking to Me.